How about something that Barack Obama and Donald Trump have in common? Very much. That's for sure. I know both men pretty well. A lot of common ground there. Although they get along when they see each other, you know, they're cordial. You remember the funeral in D.C. where they were yucking it up. Okay. So one of the offshoots of being president is that you deal with everything. You deal with all kinds of stuff. And UFOs have made a comeback. Unidentified flying objects have made a comeback, all right, in this country. Why? I have no idea why. All right. So there is a poll from YouGov. First question. How likely do you think it is that aliens have visited Earth in recent years? Definitely have, probably have 47. Definitely have not. Probably have not 37, not sure 16. Okay, and then there's a News Nation poll. Do you believe the U.S. government is hiding information about the existence of UFOs? This is a social media dream, this question. Yes, the government's hiding information. No, 28%. Not sure, 28%. Both Presidents Trump and Obama have been asked about this. Roll it.
I did have one very brief meeting on it, but people are saying they're seeing UFOs. Do I believe it? Not particularly.
Do you think you'd know if there were evidence of extraterrestrials?
Well, I think our great pilots would know. And some of them really see things that are a little bit different than in the past. So we're going to see. But we'll watch it. You'll be the first to know.
Are aliens real?
They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in, what is it?
Area 51?
Area 51. There's no underground facility unless there's this enormous conspiracy, and they hid it from the President of the United States.
Okay. So both presidents, I don't know why Obama said there is. Based on what? If you were a professional interviewer, you would say, whoa, 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 whoa. Okay? You just said they're real. What does that mean? Okay. So we're not getting anything, let's put it that way, out of the two most recent presidents. Which brings us to a new book called Evidence of the Extraordinary, Discoveries from the Series The Proof is Out There. All right? It's written by a guy I know pretty well, Miguel Sancho. He is a News Nation producer now. He did the San Francisco thing for us. He was a producer on that project. All right? He's worked for Inside Edition. I started Inside Edition. He's worked for CBS News, on and on and on. Very, very senior guy. All right, so the book is out this week. And I was reading a book last night. I wanted to get spooky environment to read this book. And I made sure that I had all the security so Yeti couldn't break into my garage. But I'm reading a chapter on UFOs. And this Mexican pilot, Delgado, all right, he's flying a FedEx plane from northern Mexico into the USA, and he and his crew are escorted on their flight up in the air by a red spaceship or something. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Well, Bill, thank you for having me. Thank you to your audience for listening in. And I encourage everybody to read my book or any book in the garage at night. I think that's a wonderful recipe for a great reading experience. I will say this. Yes. I mean, I went into this field as, you know, a hard news journalist with a background in investigative and consumer reporting. And it was somewhat serendipitous that I started working with this program. And the first kind of aha moment for me was this conversation I had with Captain Delgado. This was back in 2020. And so he had this video that he'd shot when he was on this flight, and this very peculiar orb appeared off the port side of his aircraft. I believe it was a 767, one of the FedEx cargo planes. And he claims it followed them and tracked them for about 20 minutes and at times hit them with a kind of a lighthouse-like beam. And the craziest thing about it wasn't just the account. And he shot some cell phone video of it, which is good, not great. It's what you'd expect, kind of a white dot against the black sky. But the most fascinating part of the story and the fascinating part of the video is when he pans over to the console and you can see that the TCAS system, the collision avoidance system, is not detecting any other aircraft in the area. And subsequent investigation also confirmed that the radar hadn't detected any aircraft in the area. So we have a number of sources, instruments that we consider usually normally reliable in modern aviation, confirming this account. And the kind of eureka moment for me, or the epiphany for me, was, okay, this stuff isn't just being reported by kooks in their basement with the tinfoil hats or out in the desert, looking at the sky with night vision goggles, but people we trust with multi-million-dollar aircraft and people we trust with our lives and people that we would normally consider extraordinarily responsible and honorable. And of course, Captain Delgado, who was kind enough to come on the show and tell his story, is just one of many people, some of them with extremely impressive backgrounds and high clearances in the U.S. military, who have come forward and said not just that they've had a personal encounter, but they have a strong reason to believe that yes, aliens exist. And further, that they've come here, that we've tracked them, that the U.S. government has encountered them, and that there's an ongoing crash retrieval and reverse engineering program that continues to this day. And that's what people are hoping will be revealed when President Trump kind of dangles the promise of disclosure of whatever the federal government has, whatever documents they have on UFOs.
Well, he could use the diversion now, that's for sure. But I'm skeptical about this, as you know. So I don't really know what an orb is. What is an orb? Is that just some round thing that shows up? And is it red? What is it? What's an orb?
An orb, indeed. So yes, the UFO community has a whole classification system of every kind of type and design of UFO, similar that you might, have in certain types of designs of automobiles. So of course you have the classic flying saucer that had its heyday in the 40s and 50s and has still kind of gone out of vogue since then.
So they're not saucers anymore, they're orbs now.
Yes. Orbs are much more frequent, and orbs, like the name kind of implies, they're simply kind of spherical glowing orbs.
So they're up in the air and they're round things and they have lights on them. And the video that Delgado shot doesn't show you much. Now, there are other crew members that could have shot video too on his flight. I haven't seen any video that would convince me of anything coming out of that plane. There's some video, but nobody knows what it is. Certainly there's no alien looking out the window waving at Captain Delgado. So I think this might fall under the category of people believe what they want to believe. That you want to believe there's an alien force and they come down here for a snack or why. But I'm still way out there as far as being convinced is concerned. Something wrong with me? Don't answer that. But am I not doing my job?
Yeah. Well, the truth is, so you'd said earlier in the broadcast quite perspicaciously that UFOs have come back. And the question is why? Well, we know. We can answer that. There's two main developments that have sparked what I term in the book the modern UFO renaissance. One is the emergence of these videos. And I don't just mean the Captain Delgado cell phone video, but these extraordinarily compelling military-grade videos with the telemetry and with the testimony of the pilots to back them up.
Then why wouldn't Obama and Trump cop to that? Why wouldn't they say, I saw this, it was one of our top pilots, and they brought it in, and now I'm convinced there is some orb chasing people around.
Right, because there's still debate exactly what these videos are showing, right? The Pentagon, under pressure from what is now kind of this emerging UFO lobby or this emerging UFO constituency, special interest group, is now working, or has established, I should say, an official investigative agency. It's called ARROW, the All-Domain Anomaly Resolution Office, and they are here to investigate videos such as this. And many times they will try to at least come up with a prosaic explanation that what appears to be a UFO or an alien craft is in fact a sky lantern or an airplane going the other direction or a drone that happened to be shot or an artifact of the camera. But there are those that they cannot resolve. It's often the case that they say that that is a result of having insufficient data, which is a legitimate response. And they go further to say that they have never, to this day, come up with conclusive proof of alien technology or craft. And you're right, Bill, that there's certain skepticism that is, I think, required when you're approaching this subject, because it's very easy to say, as President Obama did, aliens exist. Where does that come from? That comes from basically a scientific principle or scientific equation under the Drake equation, not to bore you with all the geek stuff, but statistically trying to establish what the odds are that we are alone in the universe. And as you can imagine, with the number of
but he should have been,
planets, solar system.
That pinhead who was interviewing him should have stopped him right there and said, wait a minute. And you would have done it, and I would have done it. And he said, oh, aliens are real, how do we know that? You know, this
aliens may exist somewhere at some time, but it's a much bigger question to say, are aliens here now? Have they been, be able to travel here and visit us recently?
Yeah, well, I don't believe it, but I could be wrong because I don't know what's in the classified area. Now, I wrote a book called Killing the Witches. In the last part of the book, because witchery and sorcery and all these people who lost their lives in Salem were all killed because they were supposed to be associating with the devil. And then to close it off, the book, I wanted to get a modern equivalent of that. And we went to the movie The Exorcist, one of the biggest hits of all time in the supernatural area. And we found unbelievably crazy stuff that happened. So a lot of the actors died. There was all kinds of explained stuff that wasn't really explained, that the director of the movie was an atheist, and then he came out as a believer because he saw all this stuff. And I reported it as it went down, because it was all on a record. There's nobody who didn't put their name or attached to it. But do I believe that the devil was directly involved with the filming of The Exorcist? All I can say is this is really strange, particularly the deaths of the cast. This is really because the odds were way, that all of these people would die or have injuries based upon their experience in the filming. And so that's all I could do. I could say it's pretty strange, and that's all I can do here. That I acknowledge that in your book, Evidence of the Extraordinary, there's extraordinary stuff. But do I believe it? No, not yet. Last word.
The point of the book is not that you need to believe everything that you're told or every wacky story, but I think the primary thesis is twofold. One, that anomalous events happen, and they happen often enough that we need to be more hospitable to what some might consider radical or wacky theories. If you think about every kind of scientific revolution that's changed the paradigms from everything from, the theory of relativity, germ theory of disease, those all started out as highly heterodox ideas and theories that in some cases got their proponents ridiculed, in some cases shunned.
But that's fine with me. You have stuff that's unexplained. You should try to explain it. All right, Miguel, I wish you good luck with this book. And you got a whole bunch, it's not just about UFOs, you got a whole bunch of other stuff that go
something in there for everybody.
Bump in the night. You got Bigfoot in there and sea monsters and all of that.
And miracles.
And miracles. So people will be, I think, enthralled. Appreciate you coming on.
It's very kind of you to have me, Bill. Thank you.
Right.